Hello, hope you're all doing well. We are almost at the tail end of February, which is kind of crazy. Time just keeps flying. I think time is the topic today because yesterday would have been my dad's 89th birthday, but he passed in November 21st. So we celebrated anyway, and I made a vow to myself yesterday that because, you know, he was such a big part of my life, my father, and very kind, very loving, and such a big presence. And I'll do the same for my mom, even though we don't get on as well, that I would celebrate them every year until I take my final breath, you know, that I will always remember their birthdays. So I bought some beautiful flowers for my dad and put them next to his urn, and I bought a beautiful hazelnut chocolate cake. It was amazing. Like, my mom and my niece and I all adored it. But the time thing is about my mom. You know, she's end stage, and not like actively dying in this moment, but she's under hospice care. And I don't know if it's the dementia, she's got some dementia, or it's probably a combination of fear and non-acceptance, but she's been, you know, spoken to by the doctor numerous times and her nurses, and really she's in hospice care because there's nothing else that they can do for her. She is, her nebulizer has been up to every 4 hours now instead of like twice a day or once a day where it was months ago. So she's got congestive heart failure and COPD, which she's had for a long time. And there are always arguments about, you know, the medications. And ultimately today it kind of boiled down to her being, her cardiologist had called. And when you're under hospice care, and I've been in California, so I don't really know all the ins and outs. When she falls under hospice care, they take care of everything. So she doesn't go to outside doctors anymore, you know. And when it comes time that she needs 24-hour care, they'll step in. But for now, there's a nurse that comes once a week to do her medications. And the doctor comes on a need-be basis if things start to change. So she hasn't been here since like December, the doctor. But ultimately, her breathing, she's been really labored last week. So they put her on a course of prednisone for 4 days, which is a steroid, and it will give her some relief. But it's like most Western medicine, it's a Band-Aid. They don't go to the root cause of the symptom. And in my mom's case, there's no turning back, okay? It's not going to get better. There's no miracle pill or cure. She smoked for 55 years. And this is a consequence of her actions. You know, on this planet, we all have choices. Whatever it is, if it's physical, if it's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual, everything we choose to do is going to have, you know, a consequence. And so this is the consequence of that. And I really feel like she just has not wanted to grasp it, you know. And so the cardiologist calls today, and I forget that she's not going to outside doctors anymore. And so I'm like, okay, she'll be there, you know, Thursday, 11:30. And when her caregiver came, who's here 4 days a week, and she's been with my parents since they moved here over 2 years ago, she said, no, you know, hospice takes care of everything. She doesn't go to outside doctors. So I called to cancel, and then I was waiting for the argument. My mom started to argue, and Mary had to say to her, look, Esther, there is no miracle cure. You are in hospice care, meaning they're going to keep you comfortable. They've already upped your nebulizer to every 4 hours. That's the medicine. Like, it's not going to get better. There is no cure. And so anyway, it landed on my mom. She just had this look on her face of kind of like, oh shit, you know, like, I think this time it may have landed. I mean, she's had this before. And I'm going to backtrack to like a year ago, this past February. In early February, she had her aortic valve replaced. And she had an erratic heartbeat and was having trouble with the blood flow. So, you know, in the best case scenario, that would have cured everything. At least it would have made her heart beat better and pump the blood better. And ultimately, within like 6 weeks, it was actually March 1st of last year, she had issues. She was having trouble breathing. Her heart wasn't working great. She was like discolored and clammy. And we took her in the ambulance to the emergency room. And it turned out the valve had gotten stenosis, meaning it got like clogged up. And it just didn't take. You know, and that she was angry, of course, because she thought that would be like, you know, the answer, and it wasn't. And so since then, we've been arguing with her, and I'm going to ask the doctor. And, you know, we've said to her repeatedly, look, you've already talked to the doctor. Everybody tells you the same thing. It's just, you just want to hear what you want to hear, but that's not the reality. And it's freaking hard. Like, I don't want to tell that because probably part of the psyche doesn't want to know. Right? So you protect yourself behind a wall, which people do in all situations, not just end of life. There goes a hawk, right? The messenger of God. They protect themselves emotionally. They run away. They shut down. They don't want to look, whatever the situation is. But for her, This has been a repeated, not accepting what's being told to her. And I think it landed today, and it's painful to me to witness that, because most people do not. I mean, who wants to face their mortality? Let's face it. Some people might be cool with it. I have a very high belief in the spiritual realm, and my dad's popped in so many times since he died, because I've known this kind of magic that we're like 95% spirit and like 5% physical. I've always had tapping into those realms since I was a little girl. But it still doesn't mean that when it comes to my time, I might not go, oh shit, I don't know. But for her, it just kind of made me sad, because at one point I asked her in the bathroom after she showered and was doing her makeup. I'm like, Mom, how you doing? She's like, well, I'm hanging in there, or I'm still here, or something. I forgot what she said. And I went, damn, man. It's almost better not to know. But I'm wondering if things will shift, because when hospice initially came in, she was calling her friends and saying, oh, we're on this great program called hospice. It's great. They come in and they gave us beds and they did this. And she was going to ask them for a gym membership. I mean, she just didn't get it. And I don't think, even though she has dementia, she's very cunning. My mother is smart as hell. She's not so much with the dementia that she doesn't know what she's doing. She'll forget things. Like last night, she asked me 3 times about my niece, okay? And I had already told her, yeah, she went to the store. And then within like a 15-minute conversation, she's like, are you going to wake her up to eat with us? I'm like, Mom, she's at the store. And literally like 5 minutes later, where's Nicole? And I'm like, she went to the store, Mom. And I just, I'm not going to get irritated. I just left it alone. That's how it is. But she is smart enough to know when she gets annoyed to stick it to somebody, give you a little zap with the words. But I think she was just protecting herself, and now I think that that's kind of gone. And I don't know. I mean, the arguments suck. The arguments every day. That's a hawk, by the way. Of, I need my medication. I need this. I'm going to call the doctor. Maybe they're finally going to be done, and it'd be easier for everybody else. And now I'm just going to pray for peace for her, because I literally do not see her being here by next Christmas. I just don't. And last night her color was like this jaundice kind of yellowish green. And I looked at my niece when my mom had her head turned, and I'm like, do you see her color? And she shook her head yes. And she told me today, my niece, that she noticed before I even said anything to her. And that's how my mother looked when I came home last March 1st, when the valve had gone bad. So, we are really spiritual beings in a physical body. We're only like 5% physical. And I hope at some point, it comes to the human race, if we're going to continue and not kill the planet and kill ourselves, that these kind of things are taught to us as children, that the old ways come back of who we truly are, so that not only will that make it easier when we face our own mortality, but we'd live a much better life. We would be living from the grace of our heart as spirits, saying, we're part of the one here, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Like literally, my father pops in all the time, and we had conversations my entire life about this kind of stuff. But actively, before I left in June, like in the spring last year, I kept saying, when you're tired, Dad, lay your body down. And he would say, you want me to go? And I'm like, no, I don't want you to go, but I want you to suffer. And when you do cross over, please come back and show me. And he has in so many ways that are so definitive. I know it's him. It's beautiful. So now here's Mom, starting to land with what's really going on, and I just ask for some prayers for her and for anybody who has to actively face their own mortality, that they be at peace, because if they're not at peace, when they go to exit, they could hang on, and it could be just really painful. So I'm praying, God, those hawks are really speaking, that she's going to be at peace. So wherever you're at in your life, I hope you make peace with the truth of who you really are, and don't put walls up, and don't not want to see things or put stuff on other people, oh, you did this to me, or you make me feel this way, or you drain me, that kind of shit. Because in all reality, if we feel like somebody's energy drains us and we're in resistance, it's our resistance that's draining us, and my mom's been in resistance for a big long time, and it's tiring. So I pray she just, speaking of breath, because she has issues, right, breathing, I pray that she can just breathe a sigh of relief and just be at peace. And I hope wherever you are with all the energetics that are going on, that you're at peace too. Have a beautiful rest of your week, and thanks for listening.